Welcome to the Capitol News. I am your host, Alex Karitis. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is March 22nd, 2019. So some of the breaking news today is, well, this is no surprise to us because we did predict that this was going to take place in March and is going to start to play out as maybe March Madness. And of course, that is the Bob Mueller special prosecutor. The investigation is wrapped up. It's wrapped up. But politically, it is far from over. So Bob Mueller turned over his report to Attorney General William Barr. What are the details? Well, of course, we don't know the details, but it's our understanding from early reporting that there will be no further indictments. I repeat that, no further indictments of anyone in regards to President Trump, his campaign, his administration, or anybody involved in the Russia meddling whatsoever. What's done is done. Thank goodness this charade is finally getting wrapped up. Thank goodness. The White House, the president, his team, his family must be just filled with joy, took a huge sigh of relief. They too will be probably going through this report. Bill Barr has stated that he is possibly going to report the principal findings to the respective committees in both the House and the Senate. That might take place this weekend. It probably will because it's such a political hot potato that Bill Barr knows better. He knows the game in Washington, D.C. I think that's in large part why the president nominated him to be his attorney general. We'll see how long he serves as his attorney general. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not for very long. Again, this is just sort of in the motion of what the president does. That's not to say that the man won't continue to serve. I just wouldn't be surprised if he's there for a certain task and then he gets out. Same thing with sort of Jeff Sessions. Same thing with how he treated General Kelly, his former chief of staff. It's just his model. Scaramucci, everybody. You're in, you do a task, you do the job, you get out. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Barr is here for his expertise, his understanding of the DOJ, the FBI, and just Washington politics in general. And this, ladies and gentlemen, has to be applauded because there were really no major leaks whatsoever in this. The president did not fire Bob Mueller or anybody associated with the team, despite being egged on, particularly by Chuck Schumer, Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, saying, "Don't you do it, Mr. President. Don't you dare do it." You know, just trying to get him to do it. And he didn't. He didn't. He stayed off. Now, we know he fired Jim Comey. That was well within his rights. Everybody wanted Jim Comey fired, and rightly so. Man was a disgrace to the FBI. And I don't put all of the blame on Jim Comey. I don't like the guy at all, but he was put in a tough position because of Hillary Clinton. She did this. She put him in that difficult position. Her doings. She's the one that you got to look at. Jim Comey, too. Andy McCabe, Lisa Page. We'll get back to Lisa later on. Wacky Lisa, because she doesn't know what she's talking about. But this report is now front and center. It will be the news on Saturday. It will most definitely be the news on all of the Sunday morning talk shows. It will be the news for the next week or two. Easily. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The question becomes, how and when does it get reported? Because you already have the Democrats. You already have Chuck and Nancy out. I saw some tweets from Crazy Bernie. They want the whole report in its entirety to be released to the public. Of course, this is so, how do you want to put this, politically opportunistic of them, because they know full well that this report was never going to be, and is highly unlikely going to be, fully released. Because this had to do with a foreign government, allegedly, meddling in a United States election. And they prosecuted people. They charged people. So our government, the special prosecutor, said that's the facts. That's the facts. Now, there was a lot of people who were thrown under the bus. Paul Manafort, Papadopoulos, you got Roger Stone out there, Jerome Corsi. You know the names. Now, nobody's above the law, so if they did break the law on something unrelated, okay, you deal with them. I get it. But nothing in regards to Russian meddling. Trump-Russia collusion. Nothing whatsoever. They put the full weight of the government, ruin these people's lives. Some of them were probably just outright innocent, had nothing to do with anything, process crimes, little things that nobody else ever would have been prosecuted for, except they had a big target in mind, the Donald, President Trump. They wanted to go for him. They got a huge target on his back for the past 3 years. So this is not going to go away anytime soon. And this report will not be made fully public because we're dealing with classified information. How much of this is going to be redacted, and probably rightly so. Sources and methods, protecting assets. You don't get that stuff. You don't let that stuff get out there in the public. You have to protect people, and rightly so. You have grand jury testimony or facts that do not need to be released. There's going to be a whole host of things that are not going to be released. That is in the tradition and keeping of precedent and of the law that the DOJ is going to stand by. And the Attorney General has already released a letter saying as such. So what are the American people likely to find out? Well, to those who listen to this podcast and others like it, you know you're not going to find anything that has to do with the Russians connected with Trump. Nothing whatsoever. So now it's going to be interesting to see how the Democrats want to play this. We're already starting to see, and we already know because we've had this discussion for the past couple months now. We know what's going to happen. The Democrats are not going to let this go. They might say, yeah, you know what, the president, okay, there's nothing here, but I mean, Bob Mueller, he could only do so much. He can only do so much. He was on a leash a little bit. He didn't have free range. But guess what? We do in Congress because, yay, the Democrats took the House back in 2018. So now they are going to continue to investigate, and we already have that little sleazeball Adam Schiff. He's already out there saying we're going to continue. It doesn't matter. We knew this. We knew this. This is a disgrace. We talk about so many issues that this country has been facing, is facing, and will continue to face. And all of these politicians, especially those on the left, all they can focus on is destroying President Trump. And what it does in the process is it destroys our civility. It destroys any remnants of humanity that we have left as a nation. It just pits everybody against the next person. It's a true shame because I think we could actually work together to get a lot of things done. I honestly believe that. And I think the president would sit down and get a lot of things done with the Democrats, which he most definitely has to, just like any president would of the opposing party. But especially now because the Democrats hold the House. So this is going to be a political football for only God knows how much longer. I hope Bill Barr releases this sooner rather than later so the country can see what's going on and can get over this sooner rather than later. So everybody can take their medicine, and I mean on the left, because people who pay attention to shows like this and who are obviously supporters of President Trump, they knew there was nothing there. They knew there was nothing there. Now, of course, there might have been some bias, but regardless, the facts are facts. There's nothing there. And we know there's not going to be any more indictments coming. That's what we were told. So where does this leave us? It leaves us right exactly where I was just saying. There's going to be more investigations. Jerry Nadler's going to continue his 81 subpoenas of individuals and companies. Adam Schiff is going to continue to investigate. Maxine Waters is likely to continue to investigate. You still have the Southern District of New York, who is still going after Trump and the Trump organization. It's one after the other. Now, I have to remind you also, and this also connects with the economics, with the stock market, which just took a huge blow today. Huge blow. Again, one day does not make a trend, but this could be something in the works here. Recall what I have told you guys over and over again, because you have to listen to the president when he talks. It's the little things you got to pick up on. His State of the Union, he said, what could stop this economic miracle in its tracks? Endless wars, political partisanship, and endless partisan investigations. Endless partisan investigations. That's what we have. That's what we have here. Because the endless wars, it appears that President Trump is trying to do his best to stop the military-industrial complex, at least from that standpoint. I know I rant and rave about how much money they're making hand over fist, but he is trying to get troops, bring them back home. Bring them back home from the Middle East, particularly Syria. I applaud him for that. He's trying to talk to Vladimir Putin, but of course he's demonized for that because he's the puppet. So he can't really get much further along there. He's trying to make peace and help Kim Jong-un in North Korea grow that economy, grow that country, bring them to the 21st century. But no, we still have people, we still have neocons, and now you even have the liberals kind of joining together because they don't want this man, this president, to succeed. It's shameful. It's shameful. So where does this leave us? This leaves us exactly where I was talking about with President Trump is going to do the Potomac two-step to try to dance his way around owning the economy and owning the stock market. Because we were talking yesterday how the president came out during his interview with Maria Bartiromo, which was aired today, and how he blamed the Federal Reserve. He said, look, we had 3.1% GDP growth in 2018. If they had not raised interest rates so many times during my tenure as President of the United States, it would have been 4%, not 3-4. So he's making that argument. He's putting that out there. He's warming it up, getting the people ready. Look, these guys messed up. We'd be off to the races. But no, they had to stop it. They had to stop the Trump train. See what they do? They're the enemy. Get them. That's going to be his argument. And now he told us back in, well, I guess it was early February because we had to postpone the State of the Union because of the partial government shutdown, that the only thing that can stop this economic miracle is, again, these endless partisan investigations, which we already know have been announced. We don't even have the full findings of the Mueller investigation, and the Democrats are already out in full force saying, we're going to keep on keeping on here. So you have the stock market down today. You have Trump starting to play the blame game, and all of this is starting to fall into place. What will continue next week with the stock market, that's anybody's guess. Will Bill Barr, the Attorney General, release a lot of this report next week? I don't know. It depends how lengthy the report is. I mean, he's going to obviously, I imagine he will meet with the respective House committee members and Senate committee members who are going to review this report with the Attorney General. He's got to do this to get this out of the way and get this ball going, because this is just red meat for the media, the mainstream media, and everybody. Everybody wants to know. I mean, hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully this can be a healing process for this country to say, look, there was nothing there. There was no there. Let's move forward. At least put the Mueller investigation behind us. And then we'll see what these crazy Democrats do with all of their investigations. But this is a good opportunity for this country to start a healing process. I don't think it's going to happen because we have lunatics running on the 2020 campaign here. You got Crazy Bernie. He already wants the full thing disclosed, knowing perfectly well that it cannot be fully disclosed. You're going to have Pocahontas, Kamala Harris. They're all going to be out in full force. They're just waiting for their time to strike. Some of them don't want to be overly foolish. Some of them do have a couple brain cells left. Believe me, they do. A couple of them do. So they're not going to all jump the gun. But they're all going to have a point. They're all just going to keep wailing on this president for a number of reasons. Some of them may be justified, but it has nothing to do with this. Nothing whatsoever. So if they're smart, they'll get off of it. But not too many of them are. So we'll see how that plays out. But the White House is definitely going to be given the report. They will be able to see what's going on in there because there could be executive privilege, which, of course, no administration, Democrat or Republican, would let that information out. So that will remain redacted. And then all we have here is the side of the prosecutor and the investigators. So are we going to get a subsequent report from President Trump and the White House stating their case? Because you would have to imagine that Bob Mueller, again, he knows Washington, D.C. too. He knows what he has to do. He understands that this is political, even though it shouldn't be, but he understands it. And I imagine that the report will probably be harsh, if not directly at President Trump, on some of his closest advisors, members of his campaign, and current members of the administration or former members of the administration. This isn't going to be, just a little pat on the hand and then everybody can get back to work, there is going to be some striking things against Trump or, like I just said, his campaign or his administration. But we'll get through it. That's the important thing. We will get through this. We have to get through this. We have to move on. We have too many things that we have to solve, and nothing is getting discussed except how this president has been colluding with Russia, which is not true. It is not true. It is disgusting what these people have been doing for 3 years. It truly is. It truly is. I mean, the Russians meddled? I have no doubt that they did. No doubt whatsoever. I also bet the Chinese meddled. I also bet Saudi Arabia meddled. I also bet North Korea meddled. I also bet some of our allies meddled. I talk on this podcast all the time on how the United States meddles in elections all over the world. But who cares? We can do it. Are we investigating ourselves? I don't think so. I don't think so. We just had to pick something that was convenient. We don't like Trump. We got to investigate him. 3 years. 3 years. 2 years for this special prosecutor's report. And now we got the lunatics going to continue their investigations in Congress. I hope once everything settles down, and even though the Democratic House members are going to pick up their investigations, I hope sort of right at that point, Trump comes out and says, okay, now it's my turn. And now we start to see some of the fireworks with everything that's been going on, everything that we talk about here, the Lisa Page testimony, the Hillary Clinton email server, all that stuff's going to come back. Full circle. Believe you me, it's coming back. All of this stuff about how Trump was talking about illegal immigration and building the wall and all of those other subtleties I was telling you about, the human trafficking, the sex trafficking, the drugs, all that's going to come back right in our faces. Believe me when I tell you. I feel it and I know it because this is how the president talks. You got to pick up on these things. You got to pick up on them. Because I've seen it since he's been running, and then I've been able to sort of, I don't know if predict's the right word, but I guess it kind of is, what was going to be coming. And with a fair degree of accuracy, I've been right. Timing-wise, that's hit or miss, but the general theme of what ends up happening happens. So I'm not going to be surprised if we're going to start seeing a lot more stuff come out against the Democrats, against the deep state, particularly the intelligence community, particularly against the likes of Lisa Page or Peter Strzok or Bruce or his wife Nellie or Jim Comey, Andy McCabe, you name it. James Clapper, John Brennan. And then don't forget, President Obama himself may very well be involved with a lot of this stuff because we know from the Lisa Page testimony that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were talking about back and forth through text and email how President Obama wanted to be in the loop on everything. President Trump can't know anything that's going on in his Department of Justice, but obviously it's okay for President Obama to know everything that's going on. There's no obstruction, no politics, nothing. Nothing. No underhandedness, no shady stuff, nothing. All on the up and up. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And don't forget we have all of the unmasking of American names, right? Who did that come from? Susan Rice? Samantha Powers? Where are these people at? Where are they? Are they going to be investigated? What's going on with all of the other inspectors general reports? Where are those at? Where's the Clinton Foundation investigation going? What's happening there? Where's John Huber? Where's he? I mean, we have to pay attention to these names and to these people. Where's the information? Is there another side of this? I think there is. I think there is. And remember, if you don't recall the name John Huber, he is a U.S. attorney out of the office in Utah who is supposedly investigating a lot of the things that I've just stated, especially the Clinton Foundation investigation, which I hope is taking place. I really hope it's taking place because they went after Paul Manafort for tax evasion and for not dotting his I's and crossing his T's in regards to filing as a foreign agent. That's the same thing the Clintons did using the Clinton Foundation as a front. So you just went after this man. He's probably going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And now you have the District of Manhattan coming down on him too with 16 more counts. They're ruining his life. Well, why not the Clintons? They're not above the law. Nobody's above the law. So there better be some justice, and it better be soon. Because the American people do not deserve this. They do not deserve this. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're somebody who's going to be voting for the lunatic fringe or not. You don't deserve it. This is turning into a banana republic. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So when you go in and you vote, 2020, I know it's a year and a half away, this better be front and center in your mind. And by the time we get there, who knows what kind of fireworks we're going to see. But believe you me, we will see them. It will be an entirely new July 4th. And remember, the president wants to have a big shindig in Washington, D.C. on July 4th. So we'll see what kind of fireworks he brings down on his country. I hope it's for the best. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. It's already Friday. I can't believe it. The end of March next week. Unbelievable. So there's going to be a lot more coming. We didn't even get into more of the Lisa Page stuff, so we're going to focus on that next week. We're going to focus on the Mueller Report next week. We're going to focus on Brexit. There's just so much going on, it's not even funny. I might have to do 10 shows a day, but I'm not going to because that's too much. But maybe. Enjoy your weekend. It's been a pleasure having you as always. Please like, share, subscribe, get the word out. Enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you next time. This is the Capital News. I am Alex Koritis. Godspeed.